The next question is, and then there should be more. I swear I'm going to prepare for videos one of these days so they are not as rocky as they are most days. But hi everyone, it's Audrey and welcome back to Chapter and Converse. Today's video is going to be the end of the year book tag, and I am like probably one of the last people to actually do this book tag, which is crazy because normally I like one, but it is going to be mid-November by the time this goes up. But you know, I have been thinking about some books that I want to get to before the end of the year, and I honestly can't even believe that we are nearing mid-November at this stage of the game. But I thought I would give this tag a go, even though we're running out of time. And also, if you guys follow me, you know I'm doing National Novel Writing Month, which has seriously crimped my reading for November. It's November 10th when I'm filming this. At this stage, I have finished one book, and I'm like 100 pages into, or like 140 pages maybe at this stage, into a second book, and that's all I have to show for it. So I thought this would be a great time to reassess where I'm at and make some plans for the end of the year. So this is an original book tag by Ariel Bissett, and I will link her 2019 video down below, which like she put out in like September or something. So again, I'm super late to the game, but handful of questions, so let's just get into it. The first question is, are there any books you started this year that you need to finish? And as a whole, I finished everything I've started with a couple of exceptions, and I DNF'd a book all the way back at the beginning of the year, near the beginning of the year, nonfiction book. I don't even remember the name of it, but it was something to do with lying, because it was for the Buzzwordathon with lying. I'm not going to pick that one up again. That was by Kelly Oxford. And then I'm on the fence about another book. So I got an arc of the book Trust Me When I Lie, which has nothing to do with that Buzzwordathon, but now I'm realizing that that's sounds like it came from the same time. And this is by, I want to say, Ben Stevenson. Yes, Trust Me When I Lie by Benjamin Stevenson. And I still have my art copy of this. It's since come out. I started this in the summer, and I actually was reading it when I was on vacation, and I was having what I thought was a hard time connecting with it because I was on vacation and like not on a schedule, and it's a mystery thriller, and it still is. And I got about halfway through it and I just stopped and thought I would come back to it. And I have had no desire to pick it back up again. And part of why I think that is because the story is supposed to be about this guy who was convicted of a murder, and there's another guy who does a podcast about the murder, and the podcast winds up getting the person in prison released. And I loved that concept, but what I was disappointed in is that like when the book opens, the guy's getting released from prison. So I thought we were going to see the podcast side of things and sort of how that investigation and the reporting led to the guy getting let out of prison. Whether or not he should have been is questionable. But we were already like kind of like thrown into it where the guy's already getting out. And then there's still like kind of an investigation, but I found it like super choppy and hard to follow. What I also had a hard time with, and this happens sometimes when you get an arc of a book, or at least it has in my experience, when you get the e-arc, is that it's not only is it not edited, which is fine, like I can deal with that part of it, but I mentioned this with a different one, the physical format of the book, and let me see if I can like bring it up to show what I mean, is like, it's not like edited the way a book is. So it's just sort of like one giant paragraph. And I literally found it hard to read because you can't even see like what's going on. So there's like no indentations, there's no paragraphs. It just feels like one giant run-on of a book. And sorry, you're getting the reflection from the window. But I literally had a very hard time physically looking at it and reading it. So I honestly don't know that I'm gonna pick this one back up again. and I feel bad about it, but I don't think I'm going to pick that back up. And then the other book that I'm for sure going to finish, because I'm reading it right now, is The Vanishing Stair by Maureen Johnson. So this is the second book in the Truly Devious trilogy. The third one, I want to say, comes out in January. This is where, oh, I lied. I'm 125 pages into it. I'm enjoying it. I'm just super distracted and spending all of my free time writing that I'm not reading the way I normally would. But I'm committed to finishing this. I'm enjoying what I'm reading so far. The lack of progress on this book has nothing to do with the book. It just 100% has to do with NaNoWriMo, and that's just what I'm focused on. Question number 2 is, do you have any autumnal books or an autumnal book to transition you into the end of the year? So again, this tag came out in September. I feel like I need like a wintry book to transition me into the end of the year. So I don't have a specific book to transition me, but I have a bunch of books that I want to read. So I don't know, but I don't know. I wouldn't know. I don't have a specific book. And I'm not one to wholly read seasonal books, which is not to say I won't, but it's not like I have to read certain books at certain times of the year. Although I will say, now that I'm thinking about it, just gonna do a little adjustment here. A book that I do want to read and that people said to read in the winter because it's a wintry book is An Unwanted Guest by Shari LaPena. And I just finished Someone We Know last week and loved it. So this is her third book, and I believe this is kind of locked room in the sense that they're all snowed in at an inn. Yes, a weekend retreat at a cozy mountain lodge is supposed to be the perfect getaway, but when the storm hits, no one is getting away. I'm a big fan of Shari LaPena's writing, so this is definitely one that I'm going to read wintertime, so not really an autumn to winter transition, but a winter read. So how about that? Let me just make the questions work for me. Question number 3 is there a new release that you're still waiting for? And again, it's late in the game. If you had asked me this in September when this tag came out, I would have had a lot more. There's nothing still coming out the end of the year that I'm like desperate edge of my seat for. I did read, and I talked about this in my October wrap up, I read Good Girls Lie by J.T. Ellison, which comes out in, I want to say December 31st. Thoroughly enjoyed that. I also have the arc of The Dead Girls Club, which I want to say this already came out in the UK, but it's coming out in the US in December. So I do want to read that before the end of the year so I can do my NetGalley review, and also I requested it because I'm interested in it. So there's that. And Reputation by Sarah Shepard is coming out in the beginning of December. I want to say it's the 3rd, and this is an adult novel. So she wrote the Pretty Little Liars series. She wrote The Perfectionists. You guys know I'm obsessed with both of those shows, although I haven't read any of the books. And then her first foray into adult novels, The Elizas, I did not like. That was a weird book. And I really wanted to like it, but I didn't. And I read it and I've unhauled it. That all happened before I came on BookTube, but I very much like Sarah Shepard's writing and I'm curious. And I actually heard about this book on Alexa Dunn's channel, and she's kind of AuthorTube, but has been doing a little bit more book stuff lately. And she has some great book recommendations I have found. And Reputation takes place in a college campus setting, and it's basically like somebody hacks everyone's emails, and like 40,000 emails get unleashed to the university and to all the people there. And it's like secrets come out and all sorts of bad stuff happens. And then I'm pretty sure somebody dies. And then I think the woman whose husband dies, like her sister winds up coming back, and her sister fled the town like 10 or 15 years ago because something bad happened with her. So a lot of tropes that I love. I'm just curious about it. It's not going to be the day it comes out, I'm going to go buy it kind of a book, but it is definitely high on my list of things to check out. So I would say that's probably it. I kind of looked ahead and I didn't see anything else, but there's a ton of books in 2020 that I'm excited about. The next question is, what are 3 books you want to read before the end of the year? And I 100% want to make this happen. So If We Were Villains by ML Rio. I've been talking about this book probably since like last December, which is when I think I got it. which is just awful. And I keep putting it on TBRs, which you guys know I'm terrible at. I keep saying I'm going to read it for readathons, and I just haven't picked it up, and it's for no good reason at all. And this has been likened to The Secret History. It is 7 students, and they're in kind of like the Shakespearean actors. And this book opens with one of the students being released from prison after being convicted of killing, I think, another one of the students. So very much like Secret History in that you know on page 1 who dies, but you don't know how, why, what. So that book goes back in time. And I think this is sort of similar because this guy gets out of prison and then starts to tell a story of what happened. So college setting, circle of friends. I think we've got dual timelines going on here, all things that I love. So I really want to make this happen before the end of the year. I'm looking around me. I talked about this in my Nano vlog, which you may or may not have seen at this stage for week 2. I don't know when things go up time-wise. But anyway, I got Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. I finally did it. Finally, whatever, it came out a few weeks ago, but I did it, I should say. So I am curious to read this. I don't know if I'm going to read it this year, though. It's not a small book by any stretch. I don't want to see anything. Why are there not page numbers? It's over 400 pages. So I'm very curious about this. So I would like to read it, but I don't know if I'm going to make it happen this year. I will say, let me think. Another book that I would like to read is Never Look Back by Allison Galen. This is another one I've put on TBRs. This is a book that I got during Thriller Fest back in July, and I'm a fan of Allison Galen's writing. This is multiple timelines, multiple perspectives. Back in the 70s, this kind of Bonnie and Clyde-ish type couple were apparently on a killing spree. Killing spree, right? Yes, a dozen victims. And then they supposedly died in a fire, like, or did they? We are in present day then with a girl who's sort of questioning her mom, and then there's a podcaster in this one, which I love, who is kind of planting some seeds and looking into what happened because he is related to one of the victims from the 70s. So there's a lot of different perspectives, a lot of questions going on, a lot of buried secrets, all these things going on. So this is a book I would like to read. Okay, so 2 other books that I would like to try and read this year because I talk so much about them. The Whisper Man. I was planning to read this during Spookathon, but I just didn't get that far. And this is kind of this guy who's terrorized children and kind of like whisper to lure them outside. And he was convicted and is in jail. And then, I don't know, for like 20 or 30 years later, it's happening again. So even though the serial killer is in jail, did he have an apprentice? Is it a copycat? What's happening? So it seems like somebody new is terrorizing the town. I've heard mixed things on this one, but I'm curious about it. And I've been kind of creeped out by a lot of books lately, and I was enjoying it, so I feel like that could work. And then I also want to read Vengeful by V.E. Schwab, which is the second book in the series, and I don't know if there's another one. So Vicious was the first book, then Vengeful, and I feel like maybe there's a third one coming out, but I read this earlier this year, also loved it, completely surprised me, and I'd like to read it sort of while things are fresh in my head, which is what I'm doing with The Vanishing Stair. So these are all some contenders that might be a little bit moody, but at the end of the day, this is top of the list for a book that I want to read this year. And then there's one other one, but I'm going to save that for another question. So the next question is there still a book you want to read that you think can shock you and become your favorite of the year? And this got me thinking about a lot of my favorites, and I have so many contenders this year. I've discovered so many great books, so many new authors, so many things that surprised me and are definitely top of mind. But I have also heard a tremendous amount of great things about this book, and I picked it up and I want to read it before the end of the year. And I do think, based on what I've heard, that this could definitely be sort of top tier for me. And it's Never Have I Ever by Jocelyn Jackson. And this is mystery thriller. I don't know if it's domestic thriller, psychological, suspense, kind of all that good stuff rolled into one. This is the UK cover, if you're wondering. I had posted this on my Instagram if you follow me there, but I had been watching this for a while on Amazon, and it just wasn't dropping in price at all. But I really wanted to get it, and I couldn't get it on Libby, and I couldn't get it online, and I couldn't get it at the library. And then I got a book depository coupon for my birthday in October, and I started to look at books there, and lo and behold, they had it, and it was cheaper by a bit than it was on Amazon, and I had a coupon on top of it. And at the end of the day, I think this cover is so much cooler than the US one. No offense to the US cover, but this kind of circles around, I think it's like a neighborhood of ladies, and they basically play this game, Never Have I Ever, which, if anyone hasn't played this game, I'd be surprised. But basically, I remember it fondly as a game we would play in high school and college, and you have to say something that you've never done, and if someone has done it, they take a drink, is how it works. So some sort of game is going on with the people in this town, and you have to play by the rules. So it's an escalating game of cat and mouse, and there can only be one winner. So this one sounds like a lot of fun, and I've heard some great things about it, and I'm excited to read it. And then the last question is, have you already started making reading plans for 2020? And I haven't made like official reading plans in any way, other than the fact that there are so many new books coming out by so many authors that I love. And no, I don't know off the top of my head when they're all coming out, but I know that Taylor Jenkins Reid will have a book, Riley Sager will have a book, Peter Swanson's gonna have a new book that's coming out. There's just so many, I can't even begin to think. And also, I'm just thinking about this now. Paula Hawkins was supposed to have a book that was supposed to come out in November of 2019, but I feel like that never happened. She wrote The Girl on the Train, for people who don't recognize her name, and that was one that I was definitely looking forward to reading. So I'm not sure what's happening there. But there's just a lot of books coming out by a lot of authors. So my only plans for next year are that I want to read them. I do need to start to get it together, because I think as we get into this Thanksgiving to New Year's crunch, I had just started filming videos for BookTube at the end of November of last year, and I definitely need to get it together more this year, because I was flying by the seat of my pants because I didn't know what I was doing, and I have no excuse being a year in. But there's a lot of videos I would like to do. I really need to work on content, which I know, so maybe not so much reading plans but booktubing plans. I've been a bit of a failure of a booktuber lately, so I need to get that together, and then want to set some goals for next year. And I really, like I said, I really kind of went out of my comfort zone this year and discovered a lot of new writers and a lot of new books that I wouldn't have picked up normally, and took some risks that paid off. And I took a couple risks that didn't, but that's okay. It's not anything bad in that stretch. So yes, my reading plans are that I'm going to read, and then I'm going to try and be better about BookTube. So that does it for this book tag. Kind of straight to it, not anything too crazy. Maybe if I had done it in September, it would have been different, but I'm excited to get to a couple of these books. I had hoped to get to 100 books by the end of the year, but realistically, I don't think that's going to happen unless I really start to maybe power listen to books. I haven't done audiobooks or anything this month at all, but I'll let you guys know, of course, in the wrap-ups and everything, what is going on in my end. And then, yeah, a new year is, I feel like it's gonna get here before we even know it. So I'm getting ready to hunker down for the holiday season. And I will, like I said, keep you guys posted on what I'm reading and what my thoughts are. But let me know what you guys are planning to read, if there's like one book that you desperately want to get to before the end of the year. And if you've read any of the books I mentioned, thoughts, anything I should push forward, let me know. And I'll see you guys in the next video. So thanks for watching today. Thanks for spending time with me, and I will see you guys soon. Bye, guys.